Greetings, wonderful people. This is vk3sl, and welcome to our evening program. And I can hear you, Frank. You're there.
Good evening.
Hello. You're coming through beautifully. It's good.
That's
Yes.
great. And of course, so are you.
Yeah. Thank you. So yeah,
You
you.
get tired of that theme?
I love it. I really do. Whenever I see Ken, I thank him.
That's good. Thank you from me as well. It's so beautifully played.
It is. It's magnificent. I love it with the vibes too. It's just great.
Vibes add,
Yeah.
at least 50% of it.
Yes, definitely. It's good. Yeah, lucky strike.
Yeah.
That's it. So
It's excellent.
yeah. So yeah, that's it. It's good fun. Good to have to catch up with Ken again. We did interview him. Remember we did that?
Yes.
He came along. Yes, that was good. He's always writing music and he's very involved. He's he's got a professorship at the Con now and.
Okay.
And it's quite involved. I mean, it involves putting on international festivals and all sorts manner of things that are very high yield and big responsibilities. And he does really well with all of that too. So multi-talented fellow is Ken.
I think he's made recordings, is it right?
Yeah, he's made lots of records. He's probably made at least 10 CDs.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, over the last few years, probably more. He's very involved. He's in the scene. Yeah, but I've just come back from the movies. Only got back a short time ago.
Yes. Now, what do you think?
Well, it's interesting. I'm pleased I went. The film was one big attempt to vindicate him and make him into a bit of a saint.
Yeah.
But that's what the films do. It's a film about, for listeners, it's a film about Michael Jackson. Look, the production values are very high, and,
Sure.
and it was astonishing.
Lots of money spent on it.
Oh, look, incredible. And the likeness to Michael Jackson is beyond perfect. It's just incredible. In fact, I think it's one of his relatives playing the role. And
likely.
yeah, and
Plenty of them.
yes, indeed there are. Yeah, look, I found it interesting. I felt quite voyeuristic watching it because look, he was presented in a very warm way, and his almost childlike simplicity, the way he saw the world. He was phenomenally talented, by all accounts. And when you look at the early material, he had perfect pitch and he had incredible sense of rhythm and a fantastic feeling for that Motown style in the early days.
There's lots of music in the whole family, really.
Yes, indeed. And the film sort of centres around the Jackson 5. But I felt voyeuristic because it presented his relationship with his father in a pretty drastic way.
Okay.
And the father was just a total sociopath and abuser. He abused him in every way. It was terrible. It's just so bad that no wonder this kid was completely screwed up.
Well, that's the thing.
He's frozen in time. He's frozen as a 4 or 5 year old for the rest of his life because of systemic abuse. It's a psychological drama, and it's disturbing. And I find that it explains, in my mind, a lot of Michael Jackson's dance moves in his later career are very rigid and very angular, and highly rhythmic and compulsive and extraordinary, like a tornado in the moment. They're almost ricochet actions. They're so tight, his dancing style and his movement. But it's almost, dare I say, it's not the right word, but it's almost a spastic sort of movement.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, and that type of demeanour, I think, is, to my mind, a symptom of the trauma.
Yes, very likely.
Yeah, and from that point of view, when I see him later on, I think this is a kid who's got so much energy, but he can't find sort of grace. There's not grace.
Yes.
It's very violent. All his movements are violent, and they're
pent-up energy.
Yeah, pent up, punctuated, violent moves, and the themes are pretty violent too, and all of that has a certain energy, and it's I found it really quite involving and it captivating to be honest. It was incredible, but I feel a bit disturbed watching it as well.
I know exactly what you're saying.
So yeah,
there was his relationship with other kids.
He had no life. He just had no other children in his life. So his only other friends were animals.
Yeah.
So his parents, he had a giraffe, and he had a llama, and he had a chimp, and a snake, a python, and they were his friends. And he talked to them all the time. He was pretty screwed up.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
It's really bizarre. It's very, very disturbing. And the father was just a maniac.
Yeah.
I mean, no one could survive that sort of abuse. No, I don't think anyone could.
No.
So, and by all accounts, that's true. I did I've heard many reports.
So have I.
So, it's a terribly sad story. And of course, there's going to be this is only to one point. The film is just to the point when the Jackson 5 had their last concert and he began soloing on his own.
Oh, okay.
So it's sort of the cut-off date was about 1988.
Right.
So, yeah, another
They'll
couple.
make a sequel for it.
Oh, there will be for sure. Yeah, to be continued was the epitaph on the film. So yes, there'll be more where that came from. But look, I'm pleased. I was good to sit with the family, and it's got us all talking. Kate's very excited because she was very much a Michael Jackson fan when she was a kid, and she's drawn in.
Do.
Yeah, so she
Even as an adult, I was.
Yeah, like absolutely. I mean, I to me, it's a bit displaced because I was one of these nerdy kids who lived in a different era.
Yeah.
But I do recognise, how he's such a cultural phenomenon. And one thing I did find very interesting, he was really obsessed with silent films. And he'd sit there with his mother every night watching silent films. And I thought, well, here we go. And because silent films are full of pantomime, and it's a very different stylised form of acting.
Yeah.
And he felt sort of taken by that, and I can see why. I think it's inherently musical, but that's another story.
Sure.
So anyhow, I am feeling quite tired because it was a very intense, compressed sound for nearly 3 hours.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what it's like.
I know what it's like.
So yeah, I won't go too late tonight. I'll just play a few records. But
I'm sorry to hear that, really, because I'm quite very comfortable out here.
yeah.
But at the same time,
Yeah, understood. Yeah, totally understood. That's absolutely fine. Now, I should just qualify tomorrow. I'd forgotten that we're actually going out to an 80s party.
Oh, lovely.
Yes. A friend of ours who's actually a barrister. I'll have to mention his name to you in private and see if you know him.
Yes, sure.
And yes, we've known him for a very long time. And yes, he and his wife are putting on this huge 80s party.
Oh, wow.
And so we're going to... indulge, and it's going to be a pull out all stops event, I think. So I've got to find something to wear.
Yes, in character.
I know. So anyhow, that's tomorrow, and it starts earlier than I thought. It starts at 6, so I don't think I'll have time to go on beforehand. I think it's in the city, so we'll.
Getting ready.
I'll be getting ready. I think we'll just leave missions tomorrow, but I should be fine on Sunday. So that's just a quick word about this weekend. No worries. So yeah, we'll leave it tomorrow. Yeah, anyhow, we'll kick off with something a bit rare and wonderful. It's a piece called Havanola, or Have Another, by Hugo Frey. It's a ragtime dance played by the Mayfair Orchestra. Now, the Mayfair Orchestra was a studio band, the studio orchestra of the Gramophone Company, and they made records from, I think, 1911 to about 1920 odd. And they made a lot of sort of light musics and waltzes and ragtime and light orchestral stuff. And they were conducted by a guy called George W. Byng, B-Y-N-G. No relation to Crosby. And he's a quite an established conductor, and the band was actually a very high quality band who made all the gramophone record stuff. And we've got a recording of this piece called Ragtime Dance, Havanola. And I think it's worth a listen. It goes back a fair way. Have we got a date? Yes, 12th of September 1919. It was recorded, so an acoustic record, but it's been put up by Martin Arnold, and I'm keen to hear it. So it appeared on the list this week, and I thought, we'll save this one up for Friday night. So let's have a listen. How delightful was that?
Lovely.
Wasn't it beautiful?
It
Ragtime
was.
dance with this a lovely lilt to it and the typical ragtime rhythms. That's characteristic syncopation there. Really effective. I liked it.
Very
Yeah.
nice. Very good signal to noise.
Yes. Okay. Beautifully reproduced there. It says here it was recorded by the legendary William Sinclair Darby. Now, I wonder if he may have been a recording engineer. I don't know. But it's certainly very well recorded.
Yeah.
Okay, well, following on, something a little different, but it's a record I've had in front of me for a few weeks. In fact, there's a couple here, but I'll play just one of them. It's a Haydn string quartet. And this was sort of my introduction to quartet music. I've had the 78 since I was a kid, but it was recorded in Berlin in the early 1930s, late 20s. It's an electric recording. I can't remember the members of the Berlin State Opera House quartet, but it's unusual to hear German chamber music from that period. So I thought I'd play. It's a movement from a Haydn quartet. So we'll play the first movement. It's a quartet in D major, opus 64, number 5. So we'll give it a whirl. I'll slap it on this turntable, I think. But yeah, let's go back and some chamber music to grace the air. Beautiful playing. Yes, the music of Haydn. I don't know how that came across, fairly crudely recorded, to be honest. But yeah, interesting. I did a little bit of a wiki AI search, and apparently it was known as the Demon, D-E-M-A-N, Demon String Quartet. And
Right.
in existence from 1920 to 1930, and it featured Rudolf Demmin on first violin, Emil Kornsan second, Karl Reitz on viola, and Karl Deschart on the cello. And interesting to read that the group was significantly affected by the rise of National Socialism in 1933, and they had to disband. I think they all survived, but they all had to move out of the country.
Right. Go their own ways.
Yeah, so it's interesting, isn't it? That's another story, that kind. But it's nice to hear about the people behind it. So easy to look these things up now. Yeah. But, well, I've got a box of records in front of me from, we had a bit of a social event last Sunday, and I bought some 78s. We didn't end up using them, but there's a variety of records here. I'll play just a few of these.
Yep.
First one is a Canadian label, a Leonora label, and these records sort of second tier, I suppose, but this is interesting because it's folk music, Irish reels.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's not the sort of thing you sort of usually find on 78. I'm not that aware of that many Irish reels in this collection here, but this is one, and it's a guy called James Morrison. Not the James Morrison. Not our James Morrison, but he's a fiddler. And we've got him here playing the Holly Bush Irish Reel Medley. So I reckon it's worth a play.
Oh, yeah.
It's Captain Kelly and the Moving Bogs. So, yeah, recorded probably close to 100 years ago. I think it might be an early electric, but yeah, let's have a listen. Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
Isn't that marvellous? Oh,
So there was music to dance to.
It certainly is. It rollicked along, Frank. Yeah, I just looked him up. Oh, this is so good. You can do AI condense a whole range of resources and give us the sort of the condensed version on these.
Distillation.
Yes, distillation. And it tells us that James Morrison, he was born in 1893 and died in 1947. He was also called the Professor and was a legendary Irish fiddler and central figure in the popularisation of the Sligo style of traditional music during the early 20th century. And it says he was born in Dumfries, County Sligo, and grew up in a musical community where he learned both fiddle and step dancing. And he taught the Gaelic language, and he emigrated to the US in 1915 and settled in New York. And he was nicknamed the Professor due to his immense skill and his work as a highly sought-after music teacher in New York. Wow. Hundreds of students, it says, on fiddle, flute, banjo and accordion.
Wonderful.
In the Sligo style. And apparently the Sligo style was fast, highly ornamented, and featured a smooth, fluid bowing technique. You could certainly hear the fluidity. It wasn't angular. It had a wonderful rollick.
Flowed, didn't it?
It did. It did. Yeah, it says one of the most influential of his generation. Gosh, here we go. So there's quite a bit. He made 90 commercial recordings. There we go, between 1920 and 1936. This is acoustic, so I'd presume it's quite early in the scheme of things. But there we go. Oh, I'll see what's on the other side. That's thoroughly delightful. It exceeded my expectations, that did. Yeah. Oh, here we go. The other side's called Kitty's Wedding, medley of jigs. The Rambler, James Morrison with Jack Eldridge at the piano. Well, it's a Canadian pressing, but it's probably recorded in the USA. But yeah, let's have a bit more, shall we?
Yes, please.
A bit of Irish music, as it was, Sligo style. An assembly of Irish jigs in Sligo style, played by James Morrison, a traditional Sligo Irish fiddle player.
Very good.
It was great. Yay, I love it. It's good. I love the vibe. Yay, all right. Well, from that to an Irish lament. And I've got a number of records here featuring a fiddle player called Michel Piastro. And he was a Leopold student and learned around about the same time as Elman and Heifetz from Leopold in St. Petersburg. So he's very much of that ilk and very disciplined musician. And he was I think he was the concertmaster of the New York Phil for a very long time, for decades. And so he chose to be an orchestral musician, but he was certainly of very high pedigree and made quite a lot of solo records in the 20s, and when he was working as a soloist. So he was sort of elevated to more or less the level of Heifetz and others. He was sort of seen as a top line player. And there are a few of his Brunswicks here. I'm not sure where they came from, but they're good to have and they're interesting. And we'll have a listen to him play a piece called Irish Lament. So I've got that one queued up on the bar. Let's have a listen. There's the playing of Michel Piastro. Beautiful singing tone, expansive tone. Yeah, Magnificat. I love it. It's nice to hear. Yeah, we'll play one more of his, I think. Yeah, we've got a stash here, and I'd love to hear this next one. I can't recall sampling it. And it's his take on Zigeunerweisen by Sarasate. So Gypsy Airs. Two sides of a 10-inch record, but this is a bit of a warhorse and a test record for violinists. If you could play this well, you could sort of advance yourself, really. It features quite a bit of intense gypsy flair, to say the least. So, yeah, let's have a listen to Zigeunerweisen by Pablo Sarrazato. extraordinary virtuosity. My
boy.
goodness me, he really had a flying spiccato like nobody else.
He ripped it up, didn't he?
He did. Very precise, very pointed playing, great sound. Yes, an early recording of Michel Piastro, who later became the head violinist, the concertmaster of the New York Phil under Toscanini.
He'd be a hard taskmaster.
Oh gosh, yes, you wouldn't want to fall foul of Toscanini. Yeah. Now, interestingly, an earlier period, Toscanini was at La Scala in Milan, and I happen to have a recording here of the concertmaster of La Scala, a guy called Professor Ranzato. Now, this record intrigued me. It sort of turned up fairly recently, and I ran this one by my Finnish friend Yasso, and he said, "My gosh, that's a rare record." And he said, "Look it up," and he sort of pointed me in the right direction. And Virgilio Ranzato was born in 1882 and died in 1937, and often referred to as Professor Ranzato. He was an Italian fiddle player, and as I mentioned, the concert master of La Scala under Toscanini before he went to New York, and well known as a chamber musician, and he wrote a number of operettas as well. And but yeah, he's an exponent of the Italian style of playing, which is largely lost to modern ears. So it's quite provincial violin playing. So it's very interesting stylistically. It's sort of pre-modern era, really, but this record goes back to the period before the First World War. So it's a canzonetta by D'Ambrosio, played by Professor Ranzato on a Zonophone 78. So let's have a listen. Beautiful playing. I did listen to this on the one-note gramophone, and I thought, gosh, it's magnificent.
Okay.
And yeah, see what you think. Oh, goodness me. How interesting is that?
Beautiful.
I love those little flights of imagination. There's a sort of impulsiveness about the earlier violinists, the way they play. There's sort of it had a rhythmic sort of sparks of ideas, and the Italian style had a lightness and the sort of almost effervescent quality to it too. So interesting to hear that, and just the nature of the articulation. They're very subtle things, but they it's imbued with a different style of playing that anyone would hear today. It's quite fascinating. I'll just play one more from this little batch, and then I'll see if I can find an episode of the Music Professor, just a short one.
Yes,
And
of course.
yes, and then that could be our feature, and then we'll try and finish within the next 30 minutes. But I just thought that this next record is one of the rarer records I've got here, because it's one of the sessions of Casals that doesn't seem to appear on any of the anthologies, and it's early Casals, but early electric Casals. So the capture's really good. It's captured beautifully, and you really hear all of the higher qualities of his playing, some which are less obvious in his later years. So you'll hear his deftness, lightness of touch, and his ability to carry a phrase and just cajole the tone. There are elements of his tone here that you just don't hear later on. And I find this record utterly fascinating as a cellist. He's playing two pieces on the one disc. It's a gavotte and a little a piece called Tonadilla by Casado, I think. Who was a student of Casals at this time. But anyhow, let's have a listen and get just an insight into Casals in his absolutely in his prime. Now, bear with me while I switch this through. We're going to have the Beyer turntable in gear, clutch on, and needle in the groove. How elegant was that? It's just the most beautiful, remarkable, just has such lightness and on the breath, and yeah, I love the way he carries a phrase, and he did that with a blom, Mr. Casals, in about 1930. Interestingly, we found as a recording of Casals made just about a week before he died in 1973. I've been chasing it for a long time, and it has actually appeared online. He's playing to the Israeli Prime Minister, and it's quite special, and I might as well play it now because it's a good segue into our music professor program. Yeah, so Casals and this next example's nearly 97, and this was recorded in 1973. And it's just it's his last breath, really. He can barely play, and he's blind and deaf at this. Well, not deaf, but very. He hasn't got many of his faculties left.
No.
And he can't even walk. And they bring the cello to him, and he sort of feels it, and then has a coughing fit because he's been smoking since 1896. And then it sort of all connects, and he plays the saraband from Bach's Fifth Suite, and it's remarkable. It's his last thing he ever did on the cello publicly, and it's very, very moving. So I'll play that because I've been chasing this for a very long time, and it's recently popped up. So well worth a listen, and end of a remarkable career. To think Casals played for Queen Victoria in 1897 or 8, and here he is playing for the Israeli Prime Minister in 1973. What a long career.
What a career. What an illustrious career.
Yeah, to think he was born in 1875. He was born in 1877, I think, or 1876, and this is 1973. It's amazing, really.
Yeah.
So anyhow, let's have a listen to Pablo Casals playing Bach. And there we have it. That was Casals' last breath.
How long before he died?
I think about 2 weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's pretty close to the end. Yeah, and significant that sort of he performed that as a peace offering for the Israeli Prime Minister because of tensions in the Middle East.
Oh, is that right?
And so sort of a little bit pertinent.
It has a sort of a lovely edge to it, doesn't it?
Yes, his always sounded a little bit like an organ.
Yeah.
That wonderful articulation, which I just marvel at. But there we have it. So that leads in quite nicely to our little music professor Matthew King episode.
Yeah.
And I haven't checked this one for any. There might be a little bit of personal advertising on this, but I can't do anything about
Don't
it.
worry about it.
Yeah, but anyhow, look at the name of this one. I think this will capture everyone's imagination. It's one. It's fantastic. It's called When Bach Reached Divinity. Yeah, and it's a great title actually, and I don't think I've played it. If I have, I apologise, but I'd gladly play it again. It's great. That's good. You'll recognise the music straight away as soon as he starts playing the piano, and then you'll talk about it, and it's very compelling.
That's the moment when the chorus comes in and starts singing, "Come ye daughters of Jerusalem, come share my mourning," which is a text that comes from the Song of Songs, the most passionate, romantic book of the Bible. And extraordinarily, that's the source of those words from the famous and wonderful first chorus of Bach's St. Matthew Passion. I remember a conversation years ago with my old friend Anthony Payne, the composer who completed Elgar's Third Symphony and composed many wonderful pieces of his own. And we were talking about what we considered to be the pinnacle of the sort of Western classical canon. And I was putting forward a case for Beethoven's last string quartets. And Tony just said, well, really, when push comes to shove, it boils down to the St. Matthew Passion because there's no greater musical achievement than that. And he was kind of right. I remember hearing it years ago I suppose I would have been about 14, on the radio. I think Raymond Lepard was conducting. Any of you out there remember that performance? I think it was broadcast on the BBC, on BBC TV, in fact. And it was overwhelming to hear it, even as a teenager. And I remember my grandfather, who was an admiral in the Royal Navy, came to visit us that evening. And he was a classical music lover. And I remember saying to him, "Grandpa, I heard an amazing thing today, Bach's St. Matthew Passion. Do you know it?" And he said, "Oh, I'm not particularly into Bach. I much prefer Rachmaninoff." So before we go further into the St. Matthew Passion, welcome to the Music Professor channel. Today is Good Friday and we're talking about Good Friday music. I'm here with Loki, and I just decided quite spontaneously really to talk a little bit about Good Friday because perhaps of all days of the year it has inspired some of the most amazing music of all. So I was talking about a performance I heard of the St. Matthew Passion as a teenager, but I've heard an amazing performance of it recently. We're very privileged to live near an annual event called the Stour Music Festival, which is an early music festival. And a couple of years ago, a wonderful, wonderful group called Solomon's Knot, and they performed it from memory. The vocalists were all singing from memory. The choruses consisted of soloists singing together. And there's an argument to be made that at least some of Bach's performances in St. Thomas's Leipzig, originally in the 1720s and 1730s, did have a small number of vocalists who just sang together as the chorus. And in this extraordinary performance, they went out into the congregation, the audience, whatever we were, kind of, you're both, aren't you? We were in a church and they came out and sang. It was incredible. So the storytelling was absolutely vivid. So Bach's St. Matthew Passion, why is it so incredible? Well, perhaps even in my attempt to play the wonderfully rich, dense harmony, polyphonic harmony that Bach generates on the very first page, you have something of an answer. And that's before the piece begins, it's just the orchestra playing. But there's that unbelievable sense of gravitas around it. But it also kind of dances, it has this wonderful energy, and you just sense in that music the pulse of the universe. You feel that inexorable journey towards the cross. He's taking you there, and it's fearless, and you're with him all the way. And what's so amazing, Bach is a great dramatist, so he sets the story as if you're there as a contemporary, as if you're in the crowd, as if you're one of the disciples, as if you're somebody on the edge of the crowd watching, as if, there's very much a contemporary feeling about it, and the chorus often sing terrible, terrible things. But you're also the community. You're also now, there's a subjectivity and an objectivity. You're also the community of faith, reflecting on events. And whether you're a believer or whether you're not a believer, you feel part of it. You feel part of that wonderful, immersive experience that Bach draws you into. And the music is astounding. I mean, the inspiration of each thing, the recitatives, this incredible storytelling that's going on. There's a guy who represents the evangelist, St. Matthew, who's telling us the story. And that's like a kind of song cycle. If you take those recitatives, there's just incredible storytelling. And then coupled with all these beautiful arias which reflect on the text as they go along. And these chorales and these wonderful choruses. At the end of the journey, we don't end with the resurrection or anything. We end with the death of Jesus. And the final chorus is this incredible saraband of lament. Not content with giving us one world-shattering masterpiece for Good Friday, Bach wrote another Good Friday masterpiece that's pretty much as good. That's the St. John Passion. I mean, some people prefer it to the St. Matthew. I think of the two, I might say the St. Matthew is, because it's kind of the most extraordinary thing ever, but the St. John is astonishing too. And in fact, the beginning is one of the most incredible things anyone has ever composed. I mean, is anything more dissonant, more full of lament, yearning, extraordinary poignancy than the opening of the St. John Passion, where he has these oboes and flutes, like in stereo, wailing. There's a duet, one oboe and flute in duet with another oboe and flute over a kind of throbbing, dissonant thing going on, sort of swirling in the orchestra underneath, in the string orchestra underneath. Incredible, incredible noise. Very hard to play on the piano, but I'm going to have a go. that's where the chorus comes in. And again, rather like the St Matthew Passion, builds towards that extraordinary moment where the chorus comes in with Herr, Lord. And you really sense Bach's absolute commitment to the story, a story in which he feels himself to be a part. Possibly in a few weeks' time we might do a session on chorale harmonisation. Bach is, of course, the miracle worker when it comes to harmony. For example, listen to this harmonisation of the great Passion Chorale. And there's one other Good Friday masterpiece I want to mention, and that is Wagner's Parsifal. Wagner wrote Parsifal in the 1870s, so about 150 years after Bach's Passions. And this is not the work of a conventional believer at all. For Wagner, I think the Christian story was essentially crucial symbols that represent things that tell us about ourselves. And it's his last opera. He composed it specifically for performance at the Bayreuth Festival Theatre, which he himself had constructed. And the work was meant to be performed as a sort of sacred play, almost like his equivalent of a kind of passion play, and that's very much what was in his mind, on Good Friday. So that was the whole conception. At the end of his life, I think Wagner very much had that sense, and it's a sense that we all have had when we've encountered the Bach Passions, is the thing I said at the beginning, that you've got a couple amazing music with this incredible story where you're moving towards the cross and the music is taking you there. So it's a kind of pilgrimage. And when music does this, something happens. Something happens that's kind of marvellous. A while ago in one of the shorts I said that one of the greatest concerts of my life was going to hear Messiaen's vk sur l'enfant Jésus, the 20 visions of the infant Jesus, which also is a kind of pilgrimage. So there's something a bit special happens when you align a musical experience, a long-range musical experience, to a sort of spiritual journey, because you take an audience into something important. And if you're a good enough composer, if you can match real compositional depth with that depth of narrative, then you're going to end up with something incredible. And Wagner knew that, and at the end of his life he knew that this was the journey he needed to go on. And Parsifal is a piece I know very well because I've made a chamber orchestra version, which is going to be premiered, the whole opera is going to be premiered in Venice in May. I guess this is by way of a kind of promotion, because in a moment I'm going to play a tiny bit of that version. But the whole opera begins with this wonderful theme that Wagner invented, almost like plain chant. You hear it as an orchestral unison, and you hear it in strings, low violins but also high cellos, and the melody is written in such a way that you have no idea what the rhythm is, but it reaches this high point there on the G. It has this slightly tragic fall in C minor, and then this lovely kind of hopeful tread upwards in A flat major, and then ends on C, on the median, because we're in A flat major here. So the melody itself goes on a kind of spiritual journey. It reaches a kind of cross at the centre. I think that's what this sort of is. It's like he's sketching out a cross shape at the centre of the melody. And you journey towards that apex, and then you have a kind of resurrection in that. I mean, this is incredible symbolism going on. This is the opening melody of the work. And that journey is also, to some extent, the journey of the opera, which I won't go into. And he orchestrates it in this beautiful way. So you have the strings, but then he mixes in clarinets and bassoons, and then at the intense centre of the melody brings in a cor anglais as well. And then Wagner does something wonderful, which is that he allows the orchestra to meditate on this theme, and he does it in the most wonderful way. He sets up this fantastic polymetric pulse in the woodwinds, so they're all pulsing away in this dun 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 dun, kind of these slightly irregular throbbing patterns. The upper strings are playing these arpeggiated cross string patterns, and the melody, the Grundthema, the great theme that I've just played you, is then played on the trumpet, but supported by a pair of oboes, so you get that lovely glow of the trumpet plus the oboes. It gives you that wonderful almost halo-like glowing sound. Also, the strings are divided between some strings playing arpeggios and others playing the melody with the trumpets. You get this wonderful kind of floating orchestration, absolutely extraordinary. There's a marvellous story about the conductor Carlos Kleiber conducting a rehearsal of Tristan and Isolde, in which the entire rehearsal was focused just on the opening cellos and the chord, and then the resolution, which isn't really a resolution, but it's just left there, and then the silence. So I don't know, there's probably an element of myth to this, that the entire rehearsal was taken up with that, but a good portion of the rehearsal was taken up with that. And then, of course, the performance just flowed out of the intensity with which they'd considered that opening. And I think my intention today is just to leave these openings with you. We've had the opening of the St. Matthew Passion, the St. John Passion, and the beginning of Parsifal. So three absolutely astounding masterpieces, all written for Good Friday at different times in history. And these openings tell you something about the great works that flow out of those openings. But, you know, to be a composer of real genius, you have to set up at the start something that conveys the thing that's going to flow out of that starting point. And the genius is, there are two elements to genius here. One is to come up with the thing itself out of which everything's going to flow. And the other is just to sustain the inspiration over hours of musical invention, so that you just, there's never a flagging moment. The whole thing just sustains perfectly from that starting point. Well, these are quite deep things. Loki's here to tell me that he's had enough, and this is the end. So go away and listen to the Sir Matthew Passion and the St John Passion. And then if you've got time, have a listen to Marvellous Parsifal. And if you're in the Inverness area, come along to the Marla Players, conducted by Thomas Leakey, with an all-star cast, including the great John Tomlinson, and they're going to be singing in Parsifal in May. And look up the details. Marla Players, the details will be online. And the only other thing to say is, if you like the channel, please like and subscribe, press the little bell.
And all of that. Thank you, Mr. King. Much appreciated. That was very illuminating. I found that most compelling.
Just listen to him all day.
I know. He's so passionate and he's so knowledgeable.
He would have been a wonderful teacher.
Oh, definitely. And I think he was a lecturer at the Guildhall.
Oh, yes.
And I think he still is to some point. But yeah, and a composer. He's written a lot of music as well. But I really love his approach, and I like it's seemingly quite spontaneous. It's,
Gives you that impression. It's probably not.
No, I think he's thought it all through. But I love the way he exemplifies things on the piano himself. It's great, isn't it?
It's just wonderful.
Yeah.
And also playing little bits of recording.
That's right, exactly. Yes. It helps a lot. It's just tremendous. So, yes, there we go. We'll keep playing. He's got many offerings here, and they're all highly educational. And I find them just, very illuminating.
I should join his channel.
Yeah, definitely. It's worth it.
Oh.
Any new thing comes along, I listen to it. I listen to it on my walks to work. So.
Oh, that's wonderful. It just brought back memories of hearing the Passion.
Yes.
The St Matthew Passion on Good Friday, as I did.
Yes, of course you did. Absolutely. Oh, and that moment when the chorus comes in, it's just
Electrifying.
it is electrifying. It's like a moment of profundity. What it is, a moment of profundity. It's incredible. Oh, yeah. I love the way it's a sort of, he ushered that in and explained it then. Yeah, well, look, we'll play a movement from Sir Matthew Passion to finish with. In fact, the one we play often on the program here because I just love it so much. It's that marvellous recording. Yeah, it's the recording of Lord Have Mercy on Me, and it's with Ula Beale, of course.
Oh, yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah, with Yehudi Menuhin. I love it. It's one of the, I keep coming back to it. And it's timeless. So, look, that'd be a nice way to finish today. So, we'll be back on Sunday. Yeah, so
I should just mention that you're coming in very well on 433.
Oh, tremendous. Oh, good. So, have you been monitoring on 433 tonight?
I've just listened for a few seconds.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
So I can't, I don't want to move this frequency.
No, look, I understand that. That's fine. So, it's coming through well, is it?
Yes, very well.
Oh, that's really good to know. Thank you for that. That's great to get some local feedback on that. Tremendous. Oh, thank you. That's a relief.
Very good.
All right, then. That's marvellous. All right, then. So,
If I were listening to you, not in a conversation, I would listen on that frequency because it's FM.
yeah, understood.
That's probably better quality.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good point. We'll have to get Jamie a receiver because I think he'd probably hear us in Croydon quite well.
I've got handheld,
Yeah, it's just something that would be sensitive enough, and I don't know what his noise floor is like, but UHF tends to work pretty well. So
We'd have to, I know. Question of setting it up and having it stable.
Yes, that's the thing. We'd have to sort of do comprehensive tests. I'd have to put a test program on, then go out and just sort of test and try it all out and just make sure it's all sort of happening.
Anyway, for what it's worth, if that helps, I can give you a handheld that
Yeah.
to my requirements.
All right. Okay. Well, something we can sort of pass his way and just because I think he'd really enjoy being able to listen to it.
I know you would.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think that'd be great if we could make that work.
Very interested in the mission.
Yeah, of course. He's been very invested and he's been such a support. And I look forward, hopefully next weekend we can organise it on Friday or see how we go.
Yes.
All right then, Frank, thank you. Thanks for heading out into the shack to...
It's fun, Steve. It's a bit of a novelty factor.
Oh,
here.
that's lovely. It's great. It's really
No,
nice.
I'm very comfortable here.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in my little rocking chair.
Yeah, it's a balmy evening. At least it's not
Balmy
too
evening,
it's not too
and
cold.
I've got the heater going half speed.
Oh, okay, great. Okay.
And the equipment's working as well as it can.
Yes. Oh, look, it's pretty good. You're coming through fine. There's no problem at all. Yeah.
I'll find out how if I can make this thing go a bit faster.
Yeah. Well, that's all fine. If you need to test, we can sort of stand by for that as well. And yeah,
Sure.
but you know, it's good to have a second system.
Read the manual. It is good to have a backup, isn't it?
See, I've got another receiving antenna here that I don't. I can't even know where it's connected up now, but it's on the roof, and it's another dipole. Not dipole. It's another coax antenna. You know, the UHF style.
Oh yes.
Finger in the sky.
Yeah, multi-element.
Multi-element thing, and but I just haven't used it for ages, and I've forgotten where it plugs in. I've got to check. So maybe we could try that out too at some stage.
Sure. By all means.
That this might work better. Who knows?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll say our cheers back on Sunday,
Indeed.
and
Next Sunday.
yeah,
A good day tomorrow.
yeah. Looking forward to a big '80s party tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Yay! All right
Looking
then.
forward to hearing offline who it is.
Yeah. Yes. So I'll be able to eliminate the fact. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I don't think he's been in the bar for very long, but
Okay.
it's-
Younger.
it's it was my age. Yes. Yes. So, but yeah. Anyhow.
There's a guy called Julian, bloody hell, Burnside,
Yes.
who's a patron of the arts and music especially.
Yes. Yes.
Do you know of him?
Yes. Very well. I've been to some. Well, my parents been to some of his lectures,
Yes.
and yeah.
I've been to some. I'm in tune with a lot of his ideas.
Yes. So I concur, and yeah. So he's someone well known to me. Yeah. Although I've never met him, but yeah, definitely. Yeah. This fellow's a brother of a friend. Oh, we've had a lot to do with him. I've been on many bushwalks with Andrew, and yeah, he's great, and he's a cellist as well. But
Well, what more could you want?
yeah, but he's been very involved getting up in court and doing his thing
Right.
in the last while. So
Nearly became embarrassing. That's another story.
all right, okay, love to hear that story. Yeah, all right then, Frank. Thank you for that. All right, lots to talk about. We'll catch up again on Sunday, and we'll speak then. And thank you for sharing the music.
Thank you indeed.
Okay, thanks, listeners. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of it. And we'll finish now with Barmadich with
Morning to the listener, and this is vk3sl going QRT and listening.
and likewise VK3SL saying cheerio until soon.